a 2-pin left.
Not a bad shot, just coming up a little light at the end. 2-pin, easy spare.
And again, you notice in Game 7, a lot less singing, a lot less dancing, a lot more nerves.
I was at the last 2 games, it's gotten a little quiet.
Bends right on in there, and Caldwell will take the spare in the 5th, and this one is still easily up for grabs. The conclusion of Game 7 and the SWAC championship tournament when we return. We are back for the conclusion of the SWAC Women's Bowling Tournament Championship. Rob Stone, Carolyn, Dorin-Ballard with you as we open up frame number 6 between Alabama, A&M, and Southern in game number 7. Series tied 3 apiece. Winner take all. Here's Tiffany Clark.
Goes Brooklyn again. Just leaves the 5-pin, which is an easy spare. But I got to tell you, it's the halfway point. I know what was going through my mind at the halfway point at the Collegiate Championships. You're like, this is it. I mean, you got one more shot. That's it, and you're done.
And that's the problem with bowling, is it's just like golf. You don't think, just bowl.
No, you can't think about it. Yeah, it's too much pressure.
Clark does her job, takes care of the 9 spare. And now we move on over to the Jags from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Southern University, founded in 1880.
Kaylee, who just gets up there and takes her shot.
Sometimes I think maybe we should take a little bit more time.
Well, I don't know. We get back to that. We think too much. So I don't know. It depends on what's going to get you going. You know, it's one of those, you're supposed to know what you're doing before you get on the approach. Doesn't always happen that way.
That sounds good. So Walthorn will pick up the spare, matching the spare from A&M here in the 6th. And we move to the 7th. Panfill went 9 spare in the 2nd frame of this 7th game. Let's see what she does in the 7th frame. Boom! Gets them all down.
Throws a great shot, and boy, I'll tell you, since the last game, she made an adjustment, and she has thrown 3 really good shots when she needed to.
Now the pressure on Cassandra LaCour. She had an open frame 9 in the 2nd.
Both teams need some strikes.
Did someone say strike?
I guess I needed to be saying this the whole time.
Both schools striking out in the 7th.
Shot goes Brooklyn, trips the 6-pin, and you know what? At this point of the game, you walk back and go, come on, let's capitalize on it.
It's been spare, strike, leading up to the 8th here for A&M. Just missing another strike. Leaves the 4-pin.
And she went Brooklyn the last 2 shots, so when she needed it, she came through and made a really good shot on that lane.
Sophomore McClinton pick up the mark. And she gets it. So a nice string of frames here from the Lady Bulldogs, and Southern too has kind of found their form. Striking in the 4th, spare in the 5th and the 6th, a strike in the 7th, and now Foster here in the 8th.
Looks good.
And back-to-back jacks for the Jags.
Key shot right here to have the only double out of both teams late in the game. It's getting towards the end.
A&M working on a spare here in the foundation frame and missing the head pin. Was McIntyre.
Who's been really clutch in that 9th frame the last couple games.
And that's a clutch spare pickup. Pressure back to Southern.
Gave it a little hop there. When you're throwing the spare bowl and it doesn't actually hook over, you got to hope you get them all.
Shivers, the SWAC Bowl of the Year, here in the 9th, working off a strike. Oh boy, that is an ugly leave.
Didn't look like that bad of a shot. Went just high enough to go right through the nose.
6-7.
She needs to slide that 6-pin over into the 7 and give the team a mark going into the 10th frame.
Not kick it, but she'll take one away there. So an open frame 9 in the 9th. And you see the two anchors. This is Smith for A&M, working off a spare.
And Smith has been pretty good in the 10th frame, keeping the ball in the pocket. Just a little high, leaving the 3-6-10.
A little heavy, really need a mark here.
Checking the score out. That's another thing. I'm not sure I'd be looking at the score. I just assume I want to make it.
Let's see what the skull can pull out. Oh. That falls into the ouch category, so that'll be a 166 for A&M. And now Southern. And Vanessa Caldwell with a huge opportunity here. Needs a mark and 9 to win.
This is a very big shot for her. Close game. All the games have been pretty close, going down in the 9th and 10th frame. This right here is what collegiate bowling is all about.
There's no singing or dancing right now. Nothing but silence. Caldwell just missing the 6 and the 10, so she has some slight work to do to get that mark, to even get her to the point to try and get 9 to win or 8 to tie. And you just saw Whitney Smith could not bear to watch for A&M.
And I feel terrible for her. It's the weight of your whole team is on you right now. Because if you miss, you say, I missed for 4 other people. You didn't just miss for yourself.
Well, that's why she's the anchor. Caldwell needs the spare. And gets it. So part of her job is done here in the 10th. Last ball of the SWAC Women's Bowling Championship set to be rolled.
Changed balls, made the spare, went back and spoke to the coach to see exactly how many pins she needed on this shot.
8 to tie, 9 to win.
And after she just went high, what will she do? Do you make a move? I mean, it's decision time.
She likes it. She gets 9 and the title.
You're a great shot. That was a great shot.
So some clutch bowling from Caldwell and her Southern University Lady Jaguar teammates. And A&M kept fighting back all day long, but they lose by 1 pin in the final game.
And she said it. That's a good shot. And yes, it was.
So Vanessa Caldwell, a strike, rather a spare, and a 9 in game number 7. And the anchor does just enough to get Southern their 3rd SWAC tournament title in the last 4 seasons. We'll be back to wrap.
Bowling fans of America.